Hey y'all, this video is on the basic ways of making drawer boxes as a supplement to an article on my website called The Basics on Drawers. When building a drawer box that is going to be used with a detachable drawer front, the main concern is getting a clean side profile, as that and the inside of the drawer is all that's going to be seen. To help with that, we want the side pieces to be the entire side of the drawer for any build that we're doing. I'm going to show you two ways to assemble this drawer, starting with a beginner method that only uses glue and screws. With the sideboards cut the entire desired depth, and the front and back boards cut the entire width less the thickness of the two sideboards, we start by adding glue, then clamping the sideboard to the front, then pre-drill, countersink, and add screws from the outside of the sideboard into the front board. Countersinking allows the screw head to go deeper into the board, giving a flush finish when done. One piece to watch out for with this is making sure you drill a big enough pre-drill hole for the screw you're using, and don't tighten the screw too tight, as you could end up splitting the board like this. To fix this, back out the screw, use glue and clamps on the chipped piece, then sand it back flat and reinsert the screw. With the box frame built, cut out a piece of plywood for the bottom just smaller than the outside dimensions of the box. Then add glue, pre-drill, countersink, and screw two opposing corners first to get the base set in place. Then add the remaining screws to lock it in place. This is as simple as it gets. The side profile shows screws and it shows the plywood base, but you still get a clean finish with seeing no ingrain from the front or back board. With the advanced method, we're going to build a box that has no visible hardware or plywood on the side. First, determine which is the outer face on all sides, in particular the front and the back. Now we need to cut the mortise or groove into the bottom for the plywood to sit in on the two sides and the front board, not the back board. Measure the thickness of the board, then set the table saw blade to half that thickness. I'm using a table saw here, but I have also done it by hand and it is possible. You can reference a video down below. Starting a 1/4 inch from the bottom of the board, run one side board through the cut, then double check that versus your plywood bottom material to check the fit. Assuming it doesn't fit, go ahead and run the other side board and the front board through the cut. Then move the fence over slightly away from the bottom of the board and run that board through a second cut, double checking the fit. You can see how this second cut widened the groove slightly, and so you want to continue to check the plywood material after every first cut after you move the fence to check for fitment before running the other two boards. It's best to sneak up on the plywood thickness, as having a tight groove is very important here. Once the front and the two sideboards have the right thickness, raise the blade and cut completely through the bottom of the backboard. This will create the slot for the plywood bottom to run through into the assembly. This shows you how that bottom of the backboard is aligned with the top of the groove for the other boards. For assembly, use pocket holes through the outside face of the front and backboard. Remember, neither of these will be seen in the final product. The main concern is to keep the side and the inside of the box free from hardware. Pocket holes are notorious for moving during screwing, so be sure and clamp this in place once glue is applied. This leads us to our watch out for this build. It'll become apparent shortly. Make sure the backboard is attached level with the tops of the boards, so now you have a groove all the way around the board and an opening in the back to slide the plywood in. I like to chamfer the edges of the plywood before inserting. This is inside the groove and won't be seen, but it makes it easier to insert in case there's any rough spots within the groove. Slide the plywood down from the side, and then the front of the groove may take some convincing to see right. Then add screws through the plywood into the backboard to attach the base. Remember to pre-drill and countersink so that the screw head sits flush once done. What you need to watch out for in this build is making sure your grooves and backboard are all aligned. Here you can see I didn't get the right alignment on my backboard, and it creates this gap that is visible from the inside. To fix this, redo the pocket hole screw placement and get a flush corner on each corner. And there we go. Two boxes the same size, but one has no hardware showing, the other looks clean without seeing any ingrain, but you can see the screws and plywood. Check out the article on the basics of drawers on my website, and let me know if you have anything else that you think would be helpful to have a walkthrough of. Thanks.